The desert wind stirs dust around an open-air platform. 3 children stand tied at the ankles like livestock. Faces covered in burlap sacks. A silent crowd. One woman steps forward, face painted in Comanche tradition. She tosses 2 silver coins onto a wooden plate. One child tilts its head and murmurs something beneath the sack, one word in Comanche. Naya. The woman freezes. The wind blew hot dust through the wooden beams of the auction post. It scratched across the packed earth like claws. Crows circled overhead, crying loud, sharp sounds. Men stood in rough coats, drinking, laughing, spitting into the dirt. The smell of sweat, horses, and old leather hung in the air. Somewhere, a baby cried. Somewhere else, a man cursed. Nobody paid attention. The woman didn't move. She stood near the edge of the crowd. Her eyes were hard and still. Her hair was long, tied back with thin leather. A deep scar ran down the side of her face. It didn't make her ugly. It made her known. People stepped aside when she walked near. Some nodded with respect. Others looked away. She wore a coat made of buffalo hide, old but strong. Around her waist hung a leather belt with a rusted arrowhead tied to it. It swung slightly in the wind. Her boots were cracked, her hands brown from sun and years. She said nothing. She only watched. Then they brought the children. 3 of them. Small, thin. Their ankles were tied together with rope. Their heads covered in rough cloth sacks. Each one had their wrists bound with old twine. The tallest one limped as they were pulled forward. A fat man with no shirt and too much hair shoved them onto the wooden platform. "Next lot," he yelled. 3 of 'em. Weak bones, but they're quiet. Probably orphans. Could be used for chores. Or sold again. Who knows? Laughter rippled through the crowd. One man threw a coin into the dust. Another waved it off. "Too scrawny. Don't want no sick ones. Look at that one, shaking like a leaf." The fat man kicked the smallest child. The child made no sound but curled into itself. The wind picked up again. The sacks over their heads flapped softly. The woman narrowed her eyes. Her hand touched the arrowhead at her belt. She didn't speak. "No bids?" the fat man asked. "Nothing. Come on. 3 for the price of 1. Cheap. Real cheap." A drunk man laughed. "Sell 'em to the crows." Someone spat near the platform. One child let out a tiny whimper. It was barely a sound, like a bird sighing. The woman stepped forward. She moved slowly. Her boots made soft thumps on the dirt. She didn't look at the men. Didn't look at the fat seller. She looked at the children. Their small feet were cut and bruised. The rope left red marks on their skin. One had wet themselves. The smell of fear was sharp. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out 2 silver coins. They were clean, shiny, real. She held them up in her palm. No words. The fat man squinted. "You buy in?" Still no words. Just the coins. He laughed. "Well, I'll be damned. 2 coins. Hell yeah. They're yours." He grabbed the coins and shoved them into his pocket. Then he jumped off the platform and walked away, still laughing. "Lucky lady," he called. The woman stepped up. She untied the ropes around their ankles. Her fingers worked fast. Quiet. She didn't pull the sacks off their heads. Not yet. She touched each of their backs gently, one by one, guiding them down. Her hands were rough but careful. They followed her like shadows. The crowd lost interest. A new batch of horses came in. Men started shouting again. Whips cracked. The sound of deals, arguments, trade. The woman and the children slipped away from the noise. They moved behind a tent. Out of sight. The wind followed, carrying dust like smoke. She knelt. Untied the sack from the smallest child's head. A girl. No older than 5. Her hair was tangled, her cheeks hollow. She blinked at the sunlight and looked up. The woman didn't speak. She didn't smile. She just looked. The girl looked back. Then, with a voice dry from thirst, the girl whispered one word. "Naya." The woman froze. The other two children still had sacks on. They stood still, waiting. But the girl, she looked up and whispered it again. "Naya." It was not English. It was Comanche. The woman's lips parted slightly. Her fingers stopped moving. That word. That name. It was hers once. A long time ago. Before her village burned. Before men came with torches and wagons. Before screams, before smoke, before the earth itself turned black. Only one person used to call her that. She stared at the girl. Dust blew between them. The girl said nothing else. Just looked up with dark eyes, full of questions. The woman didn't move. Her chest rose once, then fell. Her fingers clenched into her palm. Behind her, the crows cawed again. The desert kept on breathing. The girl's eyes stayed on the woman's face. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just watched, like she was waiting for something the woman couldn't give. The woman said nothing. Her fingers brushed the girl's cheek once more, then pulled back. She looked at the other two children. Still standing. Still waiting. Still wearing the sacks. She took the next one. Pulled the sack off slowly. It was a boy. His face was dirty. His hair had been cut unevenly, like someone had done it with a knife. His eyes didn't look scared. They looked empty. He blinked a few times, then lowered his head. Said nothing. The last child pulled off the sack without help. Taller than the others. A girl. Maybe 9 or 10. She had a bruise on her chin and a split lip. She looked at the woman, then looked away fast. Like she didn't want to be seen. The woman took them to the edge of the auction yard. There was a long stretch of open land. A few cactuses, dry brush, no people. A horse waited there. A small one. Brown, with a white streak down its face. The woman helped the smallest girl up first. Then the others. They sat close, quiet. She walked beside them, holding the reins. They didn't ask where they were going. She didn't say. They walked for a long time. The sun dipped lower in the sky. Shadows stretched across the dirt. A coyote called in the distance. The wind turned cooler. She stopped near a large flat rock, shaped like a sleeping animal. There was a small cave behind it. Hidden. She used it before. She started a fire. Small, no smoke. Gave the children dry meat and a piece of corn cake. They ate in silence. The girl who said, "Naya," held the food close to her chest, like someone might take it. The boy ate slow, his eyes always moving. The older girl chewed fast, but her hands shook. After, they lay by the fire. Wrapped in thin blankets the woman kept in her saddlebag. They were too small, too thin, but they were something. The woman sat with her back to the cave wall. Her eyes stayed open, watching the sky. The fire flickered on her face. Shadows danced across the stone. She remembered. A different fire. One from long ago. She had been a young mother. Maybe 20. Her village sat near a dry riverbed. 10 homes made of wood and skin. Horses tied near the trees. Children played with carved toys. Old women sang songs while grinding corn. Her husband had a strong laugh. He carved bone handles for knives. His arms were thick, his voice deep. He wore a hawk feather in his braid. Said it gave him sight. She had a baby. A girl with soft eyes. They named her Nita. It meant bear. One night, the men were gone. Hunting. She was washing clothes by the river when she heard horses. Too many. Not theirs. She ran back. Smoke filled the air. Screams cut the sky. Flames ate the homes. Men with long coats and torches rode in circles, grabbing, shouting, laughing. A man with a gold tooth pulled her by the hair. She bit him. He hit her with the back of his hand. She never saw Nita again. She woke later in the dirt, alone. A cut on her head. Blood in her eyes. Smoke still rising in the distance. She walked for 3 days. Then kept walking. She stopped counting. Now, by the fire, her hand went to the arrowhead on her belt. It was the only thing she had saved. Her husband carved it for her. Said it would keep her safe. It didn't. The children slept, curled like small animals, their breaths soft and uneven. The wind picked up. Dust blew across the cave mouth. The fire hissed. The woman's eyes stayed on the girl who said, "Naya." That word, that voice, it didn't make sense. Her daughter would be long gone. Maybe dead. Maybe taken far away. But something in that whisper had cracked open her ribs. The girl stirred, sat up, looked at the woman through the glow of the fire. "Is Naya your name?" she asked. The woman didn't answer. "My mama said it once," the girl said. "She told me to remember it. She said if I was ever lost, I should say it." The woman stared at her. "Do you remember your mother?" she asked. The girl shook her head. "No. Just the word." The woman looked down at the fire. She didn't speak again. The boy woke next. He didn't speak at all. Just sat, pulled his knees to his chest, and stared into the flames. His hand moved in small circles, like he was drawing something on the dirt. The older girl didn't wake. She cried in her sleep. The woman sat there until the sky began to lighten. The stars faded. The cold air warmed just a little. She stood up and walked to the edge of the cave. Looked out. Far off, the land rolled like waves. Empty and wide. But something felt near. Something following. She turned back and looked at the children. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was low. "We ride at sunup." No one answered. But they would follow. And the wind carried a word into the rocks, soft and ghost-like. "Naya." The sun was just rising. The sky turned soft orange, then bright gold. The land looked calm, but it wasn't kind. The wind was dry. The air was thin. The world felt wide and empty. The woman packed fast. She didn't speak much. The children didn't ask questions. They just watched and followed. She helped them onto the horse. It was slow work. The smallest one was still sleepy. The boy refused help but climbed up wrong and nearly fell. The older girl was quiet, but her eyes stayed sharp. She scanned the land like she was expecting someone to come from behind. They didn't ride far that day. Only until the sun reached its peak. The heat burned their skin. The horse moved slow. Flies gathered around their faces. At noon, they stopped near a dry stream. No water. Just stones and cracked dirt. The woman gave them each a sip from her flask. Not much. Just enough. They sat under a crooked tree with no leaves. The shade was thin, but it was something. No one spoke for a while. The little girl finally looked at the woman and asked, "Where are we going?" The woman stared out at the horizon. "Away," she said. The girl nodded. She didn't ask again. The boy played with a piece of rope he'd found near the auction. He tied knots. Untied them. Tied them again. The older girl scratched shapes into the dirt with a stick. She drew lines. Then crossed them out. The woman watched them all. Not like a mother. Not like a stranger. Like someone still deciding what they were to her. As the sun dropped lower, they rode again. The land changed. Hills rose in the distance. A bird flew low across the sky. The horse stopped once, ears turning. The woman looked back but saw nothing. That night, they made camp near a rock wall. The wind pushed hard through the cracks. It howled like a lost voice. The fire crackled. Sparks danced upward like stars. The children sat close together. The woman sat a little apart, sharpening a small blade. Her fingers moved slow, steady. The little girl leaned on the older one. She whispered something, then laughed. It was the first sound like joy. The boy looked up. "You shouldn't laugh," he said. "Why not?" the girl asked. "They'll hear us." The woman looked at him. "Who?" He shrugged. "Them." The girl frowned. "There's no one out here." The boy didn't answer. He just pulled the blanket tighter. Later, after they'd eaten a few bites of corn and meat, the little girl reached into the woman's bag. She pulled out a broken comb. The woman didn't stop her. The girl sat beside her. She looked up. "Can I fix your hair?" she asked. The woman didn't say yes. But she didn't say no. The girl started combing gently, tugging out knots. Her small fingers worked with care. The firelight made her face glow. The woman closed her eyes. Just for a moment. The older girl watched this happen. She didn't say anything, but something changed in her eyes. That night, the wind got stronger. The fire died early. The cold came in. The woman moved closer to the children. She wrapped her coat around them as best she could. No one cried. But the little girl whispered in her sleep again. "Naya." The woman stared at the stars. In the morning, she woke early. The others were still asleep. She walked a short way from the camp. Looked out over the land. There were hoofprints near the edge of the rocks. Fresh. She knelt and touched them. Her face didn't change. But her hands tightened. When she got back, the boy was already awake. He sat up straight, eyes on her. "Is someone following us?" he asked. She didn't lie. "Maybe." He looked down. Said nothing more. They rode harder that day. Less talking. Less resting. The land felt tighter. At one point, the horse stopped. Refused to go forward. The woman got off, knelt down, and pulled something from the dirt. A nail. A sharp, shiny nail. Like one used to mark a trail. She turned her head slowly. Eyes searching the rocks. She dropped the nail and got back on the horse. That night, they camped in a place with high walls. Hidden. Good cover. The boy stayed close to the woman now. He sharpened sticks, just like she did. Watched how she made traps from thin rope and twigs. "Why do you do that?" he asked. "In case someone comes." "Will they?" "They might." He nodded. "I'll stay awake." She looked at him. "No. You sleep." But he stayed up anyway. The older girl didn't talk much. But she started handing things to the others. A blanket. A piece of bread. Small things, but they mattered. When the little one got scared during the night, it was her arms she ran to first. The woman saw it all. She didn't speak on it. But she noticed. She carved something in the dirt with a small stick. It was the same mark as the one on her belt. The boy asked what it meant. She didn't tell him. But she smiled. A small, tired smile. When the children finally slept, the woman stood guard. Her hand rested on her knife. She looked up at the stars again. The same stars from long ago. The same stars she'd looked at when she lost her home. Now, she had something again. Not peace. Not family. But something that moved when she moved. Something that breathed when she breathed. Something that called her mother. Even if only in sleep. They left at sunrise. The woman didn't say why. She just looked at the ground, saw the marks, and began packing. The children followed without asking. The trail felt colder now. The air carried a strange silence. No birds. No bugs. Even the wind moved slow, like it was watching. The woman kept glancing behind them. She didn't show fear. But her hand stayed near her knife. The boy noticed. He started carrying a sharp stick. The horse was tired. It walked slow, ears flicking back and forth. The little girl dozed off on its back. The older girl held her tightly. By noon, they stopped near a group of boulders. The woman didn't let the fire burn this time. No smoke. No sounds. Just dry food and water, taken quickly. Then she showed them something. A footprint. In the dirt. Not hers. Not theirs. Bigger. She pointed to the edges. New, she said. The boy leaned down. Someone's behind us. The woman nodded once. The older girl crossed her arms. Can we hide? Maybe, the woman said. Maybe not. They moved fast after that. No rest. No talking. Each time they stopped, she checked the trail behind them. Once, the little girl coughed too loud. The woman gave her water and covered her mouth with a cloth. Later, they passed an old wagon, broken and half-buried in sand. Buzzards circled above it. Something smelled bad. They didn't stop to look. The sun began to fall. That's when they saw him. Far back. A man on a black horse. Just one. He didn't yell or ride fast. He just watched. The woman saw him. So did the children. The boy whispered, "He's following." The woman led them into a narrow canyon. Tall rock walls on both sides. Shadows fell fast there. The light vanished quickly. She made them walk. No more riding. She took the lead. The horse followed behind with the girls. The boy stayed close to her. The canyon twisted and turned. Echoes bounced off the walls. Every footstep sounded louder. The woman stopped suddenly. She knelt. Picked something up. A coin. One of the 2 silver coins she gave at the auction. She held it in her palm. The boy stared at it. "Is it the same one?" She didn't answer. She looked up at the canyon wall, then at the sky. They moved again. Faster now. They reached a dead end. A wall of rock blocked their path. High and smooth. The woman looked up. Then back at the children. The boy said, "We're trapped." She scanned the walls again. Walked to the left, ran her hands over the stone. Found a crack. "Through here," she said. It was a tight gap. Just wide enough for a child. She pushed the little girl through first. Then the older girl. Then the boy. The woman went last. They crawled out into a hidden clearing. Empty. Quiet. Safe for now. The woman turned. Stared at the narrow gap. Dust fell from the rocks. She pulled her knife. Set a trap using a loose branch and rope. Quiet work. Quick hands. Then she made a fire. Small again. Only enough for heat. They sat in a circle. The little girl asked, "Who is he?" The woman didn't answer. The boy looked at her. "Was he at the auction?" Still no answer. The older girl stood. "You know him." The woman looked into the fire. Then nodded. "He was the one who sold you," she said. The boy's eyes went wide. "Why's he following us now?" "Because one of you said something you shouldn't have," she replied. The little girl looked down. "I said, Naya." The woman nodded again. "He heard it," she said. "Now he wants to know why." The fire cracked. The older girl kicked dirt at it. "Let him come." "No," the woman said. "We leave again at first light." That night, no one slept well. The boy sat with a sharp stick in his hand. The woman let him. He was ready. The little girl clung to the older one. She whispered dreams in her sleep again. The woman stood outside the clearing, watching the stars, listening for hooves. At some point before dawn, the trap snapped. A sound like wood breaking. A shout. Then silence. The woman ran to the gap. Saw nothing. Just dust in the air. She came back, face still, eyes hard. "It's him," she said. They left before the sun rose. No fire. No food. Just motion. The desert opened in front of them. Endless. Pale. Waiting. The man was still behind. Not close. But not gone. Each time they looked back, he was there. They found a hilltop that afternoon. The woman stood there with the children. She pointed north. "A town," she said. 2 days. Maybe less. Safe? The boy asked. Maybe. The little girl asked. Will he follow us there? Yes. The boy stepped forward. Then we fight. The woman looked at him. You're too small. The boy held up his stick. She almost smiled. Maybe not. They stayed quiet the rest of the day. That night, they found an old church ruin. Just stone walls and pieces of roof. It felt like a place no one visited anymore. They slept inside the broken walls. The woman didn't sleep. Her knife stayed in her hand. And far off, a horse neighed once in the dark. The morning came slow. The sky turned from black to gray, then to pale gold. The woman stood at the edge of the broken church wall. She looked at the land below. Quiet. Still. The children were waking up. The little girl rubbed her eyes and sat up. The boy stretched, his stick beside him. The older girl checked the bags, counted the food. They had just enough for one more day. The woman didn't speak. She picked up her knife, tied it back to her belt, and turned toward the hill. The man was gone. No dust, no shadow, no horse. But she didn't believe he had left. They walked again. The sun climbed fast. The wind was strong today. It pulled at their clothes. The land rolled open in every direction. That afternoon, they passed a burned wagon. Wheels broken. Bones beside it. Maybe a cow. Maybe something else. The little girl looked away. The boy stopped. He stared at something in the dirt. He bent down and picked it up. It was a necklace. Small. Simple. It had one wooden bead. He showed it to the woman. Her eyes changed. Just a little. Where did you get that? She asked. It was here. On the ground. She took it from his hand. Held it in her palm. Then she turned and looked at the older girl. The girl froze. Do you know this? The woman asked. The girl didn't answer. The woman stepped closer. Her voice was quiet now. This was mine. A long time ago. My daughter wore it. The older girl backed up. I don't know anything. The woman kept staring. Where did you come from? The girl's face turned hard. Why does it matter? Because that child, she pointed to the little one, knows my name. And you carry things that were mine. The boy stepped between them. Stop. No, the woman said. No more silence. The older girl looked down. I was taken, she said, from a village. Years ago. I don't know who I belong to. Who gave you this? The woman asked. I don't remember. You remember. The girl's lips shook. A woman. Before she died. She said to keep it safe. Did she say her name? No. The little girl came closer. She looked at the necklace. I saw that before, she said. In a dream. The boy looked confused. Dreams aren't real, he said. Sometimes they are, the woman said. She touched the girl's hair. Where were you born? I don't know. Who took you? I don't know that either. The woman sat down on a flat rock. Her face looked tired. Her hands shook just a little. She looked at all three of them. You were all taken, she said. They didn't speak. You were taken from people like me. The older girl crossed her arms. Why do you care? The woman stared at her. Because one of you is mine. The wind blew dust between them. The boy said, Which one? I don't know. The little girl whispered, Am I? The woman looked into her eyes. You called me Naya, she said. I heard it in a song. I think. The woman closed her eyes. When my village was burned, she said, I had a baby girl. Her name was Nita. The older girl blinked fast. The boy looked at the older girl. Then at the woman. That's your name. The older girl said nothing. Nita had this necklace, the woman said. She held it up. She wore it when the soldiers came. The girl finally spoke. She sang at night. That was the last thing I remember. A song with the word Naya in it. The woman's face broke. Not fully. Just a small crack. She stood up, walked away a few steps, then stopped. You knew, she said. To be sure, the girl replied. I needed to hear the word. I needed to see you. The little girl looked scared now. She held the boy's hand. The woman turned back. Why didn't you say something sooner? The girl looked down. Because I wasn't sure you'd want me. The woman's mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes watered, but no tears fell. The boy stepped forward. Then who are we? He asked. The woman didn't lie. I don't know. But I won't leave you. He nodded. The wind grew stronger. The sun dipped lower in the sky. Then a sound. A horse. Coming fast. The woman looked toward the sound. Her hand went to her belt. Get behind me, she said. The children moved quick. The black horse appeared over the hill. The man sat tall. A long coat. A rifle on his back. He didn't speak. The woman stepped forward. You've followed long enough, she said. He stopped the horse. Give them back, he said. They're not yours, she replied. They were bought. With lies. The man smiled. They called you mother, he said. They remembered, she said. They're not yours anymore. Then why chase them? The man pulled the rifle from his back. I don't leave loose ends. The woman didn't flinch. She reached for her knife. The children crouched low behind the rocks. The boy gripped his stick. The man raised the rifle. The woman whispered, Run when I say. The boy whispered back, No. The man fired. The shot rang across the hills. Ask ChatGPT. The shot rang out loud. The sound echoed through the hills. Birds flew from the trees. The children froze. The woman dropped low behind a rock. Dust flew into her face. The boy held tight to the stick. The little girl started to cry, but the older one covered her mouth. The man reloaded fast. His horse stepped forward. He looked calm. Too calm. The woman peeked over the rock. He was aiming again. She had only one chance. She threw her knife. It flew through the air fast and sharp. It hit his arm. He dropped the rifle. The horse jumped. The man cursed loud. Blood ran down his sleeve. She ran toward him. He pulled a pistol from his belt. A small one. His hand was shaking. The woman didn't stop. She tackled him off the horse. They hit the dirt hard. He punched her once, hard across the jaw. She rolled, grabbed his wrist, twisted it. The pistol dropped. They struggled. Dirt in their mouths. Elbows flying. The man got on top. Pressed her face into the ground. I should have killed you before, he hissed. She reached up, grabbed the arrowhead from her belt, and slammed it into his side. He screamed. She pushed him off. He rolled onto his back, bleeding. She stood, breathing heavy. Her face was cut, her arm bruised. But she was still standing. The children ran to her. The boy looked down at the man. Is he dead? The woman shook her head. No, not yet. The man moaned. His hand pressed against his side. He glared at them. You'll never keep them, he said. People like you never do. The woman knelt beside him. I kept the memory, she said. Now I keep them too. He closed his eyes. She stood up and looked at the children. We can't stay here. They nodded. No one argued. They took the man's horse. The woman lifted the little girl up first. Then the older girl. Then the boy. She walked beside them, leading the horse down the hill. The sky was turning red. The sun dropped low. Shadows stretched long across the ground. They didn't speak much. After a while, the boy asked, What happens now? The woman looked at him. We find the town. And after that? She didn't answer. They found a stream. Cold water. Clean. The children drank. The woman washed the blood from her hands, her face, her arm. They rested under a tree. The older girl held the little one close. The boy sat with his feet in the water. The woman sat alone. She looked at the coin in her hand, the second silver one, the one she never spent. She tossed it into the stream, watched it disappear. The little girl came to her. "Do you think I'm your daughter?" she asked. The woman looked at her. "I think you are someone I meant to protect." The girl smiled. "Can I call you mother anyway?" The woman nodded. The girl leaned against her. The woman rested her hand on the child's back. That night, they camped near the water. No fire, no sound, just the stars above. The boy stayed awake again, holding his stick. The older girl whispered something to the woman before sleeping. "Even if I'm not her," she said, "thank you." The woman didn't reply, but she placed the arrowhead between them. The girl touched it with her fingers, then closed her eyes. The wind blew soft. In the morning, they reached the edge of a town. Small, quiet, a few homes, a church, a water well. People watched as they entered. Nobody said a word. The woman led the horse through the street. The children sat tall, even if tired. A man came forward. Gray hair, kind eyes. "Do you need help?" he asked. The woman looked at him. "I need peace," she said. He nodded. "We've got that here. Some days, at least." They stayed. The children were given a small room in a house with red shutters. The woman worked in the fields. She watched the town. She didn't speak much. The children went to school. Slowly, they laughed again. The little girl played with other kids. The boy learned to ride. The older girl helped the town doctor. One day, the woman sat near the well. The boy sat beside her. "I think this is home now," he said. She looked up at the sky, then nodded. He asked, "Will you ever leave again?" "No," she said. He smiled. The girl came running then, a flower in her hand. She handed it to the woman. "For you, mother," she said. The woman took it, held it gently. A breeze passed by. The sun warmed her face. She didn't say much, but she felt it deep. Not every ending is loud. Some just stay. Some just grow. And some, like this one, just begin again.